What's up, podcast world? It's your boy Angelo, back with another episode. It's gonna be one of the greatest episodes ever. I got my man Bam with me. Bam, what up?
What up?
I got my boy Jay the God, aka our heel. Whether he likes to admit it or not, doesn't mean he doesn't make sense. What up, Jay?
First of all, it's JL the God. Don't disrespect me on my
Don't
podcast, nigga.
disrespect me on my language.
What's up, world? What up, gang? Everybody doing?
Come on, bro. We're gonna start off like that. You're gonna start
Yeah,
being heel
definitely,
already.
definitely. It's not even being a heel. See, this is a mistake people are making.
Nah,
It's
you're
not
a real
me.
life. That's how heels work, bro. You being a real life
Look,
heel.
look. So I'm gonna kick this off just because this how it starts right here. You don't get the energy if it doesn't come that way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like with everything going on in AEW, we gotta ask ourselves. People are asking, is it a shoot or is it a work? I'm gonna see how y'all feel about it first, and then I'll give my little opinion on it.
All right. What's up, Bam? What's your input, Bam? What do you think? Is it a
I
shoe?
think it. I
Well,
think it's a
before
shoot,
all, not to
bro.
cut you off, before all, let's discuss exactly what's going on and then our opinion. So, Bam, you want to fill us in, or Jay, you want to fill us in on what exactly is going on?
I'll let Bam do it. I'll let Bam get his shit off.
So it's looking like during that post all out scrum or news conference, whatever they do, um, Punk made some comments about if people want to talk to him and they can just approach him and talk to them and settle their differences or whatever. He looks like he threw a lot of heat at Cole Cabana. He threw a lot of heat at Hangman. He threw a lot of heat at the Bucks and Omega. And I guess after that scrum, all hell broke loose backstage. Now, depending on who you ask, the Bucks and Omega escalated it, or Punk escalated it, and Ace Steel escalated it. Either way, a lot of people got suspended. There's a lot of talk of they can't really address what really happened because there's legal ramifications for things that took place during that onslaught, as people are calling it.
I hate to interrupt a little bit. I'm hearing somebody got knocked the fuck out.
Oh yeah,
Somebody took a nap.
And I
one
don't
of the
interrupt you, but we know from CM Punk's track record, especially when it came to actual combat sports, he's not a
it
fighter.
could have been Punk.
No. This is a mistake you're saying. You're saying he's not a fighter. Can we all be real and understand that most wrestlers aren't fighters? So I'm going on the side of the guy who trained in MMA to possibly knock someone out than deal with wrestlers who really can't fight.
I won't argue that, but
Like we can't say he went to a sport where people train longer than him in mixed martial arts and couldn't win. But I'm taking the guy who trains in this martial arts against other people. Look at the Brawl for All, for example. They put a bunch of wrestlers in the ring that they thought could fight to find out that 99% of them couldn't fight.
Very true.
So I'm leaning towards the side that CM Punk and his homeboy delivered some nasty hands out there, and somebody took a nap in the situation of it.
So from what I'm hearing,
sorry, go ahead, man.
They're saying
No, you're
it's
good.
Nick. They're saying Nick took the nap.
yeah. So they're saying Nick Jackson got knocked the fuck out. One of them, the other one, Matt Jackson, got a black eye. One of them got hit with a chair. I think it was Nick got hit with a chair and got knocked out.
Yeah.
Matt got a black eye. Kenny Omega got his hair pulled and bit by CM Punk's trainer. Then this morning I found out that Omega's claim is that he was trying to protect CM Punk's dog Larry that was getting like in the middle of it all. So he was trying to rush the dog out the door. So it's just a fucking clusterfuck. Can we curse on here?
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
All right, it was a clusterfuck from
shout out
what I
to
hear.
Larry. I'm a dog guy. Shout out to Larry, but continue.
I think it's all just part of Larry's heel turn. I think they're going to turn the dog heel. It may be Larry's who bit Omega.
That's funny as shit.
All right, so with that being said, we're filled in. Bam, what's your opinion? Work or shoot?
I think it's a shoot. I really think it's a shoot. I think that it wouldn't make much sense to put all of your top guys out. I think if that was all for storyline purposes, I think that's a bad storyline to go with. But at the same time, watching what they did on Dynamite was kind of a big FU to some of those guys. Like, so I think it is a shoot. I mean, they removed a lot of them from the opening credits at Dynamite. They're not talking about them. They won't mention them by name. I mean, these are things that if you have legal ramifications coming down the pipeline, you can't be talking about them or addressing what happened.
Yeah,
So,
even worse, titles were stripped 2 days later.
mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's rough. It's rough.
I think if it's a work, terrible timing.
Yeah.
You got
Why
Omega who
so?
just returned. You got Omega who
Okay.
just returned, right? Crazy Pop. You put a strap on him, and 2 days later you take him out the equation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's poor timing if it is a work. So that's what really leans me toward the shoot angle. But apparently, like now we're not seeing it through rose tinted glasses anymore in 2013. But apparently, this is how Punk is. Like Punk is a
Okay.
punk
I'm
backstage.
I'm glad you said that. I disagree. Completely disagree because I'm kind of the same person CM Punk is. And I'm glad this is where it led to because I wanted it to go here out of all places. One thing about people like me and CM Punk, we're cool until you start fucking with us. Once you start fucking with us, it becomes something else. Now, let's backtrack a couple of years back. You remember Cody's whole issue with AEW? Is that the elite had too much power. So at this point, when you have three people who are placed way higher than they need to be in a situation like this, that have been known in this situation to have more complaints about their diva activity, they're trying to be the clique. That's what they're trying to do. They call it diva activity backstage. So once you start talking about Punk's personal business, you got Hangman cutting shoot promos on Punk without Punk knowing what the fuck's going on. People are putting his personal business out there about what's going on with him and Colt Cabana, like he said. Don't fuck with him and you don't get this energy. If you would have left him alone, he would have been good. Think about it. All this shit with him just happened in what, the past month or two? This is when all this is just starting to come out. Guess
Yeah,
what
but if you
happened in
go,
the but guess what happened in the past month or two? Kenny Omega came back. Like the moment he starts coming backstage to prepare to debut, all of a sudden CM Punk issues arise. I don't like the finger pointing at CM Punk in this situation when he's the one technically being fucked with. And that's unfair. He was cool until all
you
this shit started going on.
you could say it's being fucked with, but if you go back and watch, I mean, this all can be traced back to the one epicenter, and that's Hangman's shoot promo that he cut. If Punk can't deal with a shoot promo or a promo that just went off the rails and whatever, if he's been in the business long enough and claims to be in air quotes the best in the world, deal with it. Like,
So where's deal with it and level of professionalism getting crossed right here then?
yeah,
Where's
but
the
I don't
level
think
of
hitting somebody with a
professionalism?
chair because they decided to come backstage after you just
I'm
said, if anyone wants to talk with it, let's talk about it backstage, and then you hit them with a chair. I don't think that's a level of
but
professionalism for a world champion.
right now there's a big gap that nobody knows. For him to say, come talk to me backstage, and they go to his locker room and some shit happens. Why are we pointing the finger at Phil Brooks?
Because it was said that he started swinging as soon as they went through the door, and that they didn't like knock the door down. They just opened the door. The door was unlocked. He didn't want to talk. He started swinging. So don't say "come see me" unless you mean it with that energy.
And he
You know what
did.
I'm saying?
And guess what? When the door was open and he meant it with that energy, once again, you guys have started shit with me as of now. You guys are putting my personal business out now. You guys are asking me questions about shit that I let go of years ago. Since you want to talk about it, let's fucking talk about it now.
I
Since y'all are
understand,
the ones
but
bringing
there
this
was
information up, right? But once again, as a person that if you do this, whatever happens next, you already know what's going to happen. That's the type of person I am. So once you start putting that energy out there, yeah, we're getting to violence pretty fucking soon. Like after I get this shit off my chest, because you already said what you had to say, I've been quiet long enough. I've kept my mouth closed long enough. I've been professional long enough, but you guys keep
so
poking the bear.
so
So when
next
you
time
poke the
so
bear and the
so
bear start biting you,
so
you
what you
can't
say
start
is
crying.
so what you say is stick to your guns. You know what? There is no talking. Next time we see each other, it's smoke. But don't say "come talk to me" and then start swinging. That's the equivalent to a sucker punch.
Let me
I'm pretty
ask you a
sure these
question.
non real combative people, as far as Omega, who I met in person, who off gimmick doesn't have a tough bone in his body. The Jacksons the same way. If you know they're coming in and they're soft to talk, it's a talk. But it was almost as if a setup because you know they want to come back to talk to you. At the end of the day, they're higher up in this company, and I understand CM Punk is justified in what he did because of how he felt, but it could have been handled a tad differently. Somebody has to always take the high road as
All right,
far as what's best for business. And
let me ask you a question.
hold on.
Okay.
He had this in the scrum. He kept saying, you know, they ruined millions of dollars off of me. So right there, he's accepting responsibility for the company as if he's carrying the company as a champion should. So if you're repping the company, if this is not a work, you're tarnishing the same company you're trying to rep. As the champion, you have to take the higher road and try different outlets. Now, if it don't work, that's fine and dandy. Or if off rip you say there is no different outlets, it's all smoke when we see each other, that's a different ballgame. But it was extremely unprofessional, in my opinion, for what he did.
And
It was kind of a setup. But go ahead, brother.
and I can understand that, but you're from New York, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you know when people say, come talk to me, sometimes there is no conversation with the tone of voice that's being said there, correct?
It depends because, for
But no,
example, no, I know. I listen.
this is yes or no. I'm going somewhere.
It's not that
Depending,
transparent. It
it
depends.
definitely is. This hold on, because this is a yes or no question. You
This is not a
know,
yes or no
based off
person.
of listen to it again. You know, based off tone of voice, if someone says "come talk to me," you know what it is at that point based off of how they say it. Correct?
Jay, it depends on the setting. If I'm on the streets, yes. For example, a situation at work happened today where I could have gotten into a fist fight. I could have been CM Punk, but I said, "Come talk to me." They came to my office, and that's exactly what happened. We had a conversation. I'm at work. CM Punk is at work. He's not on the streets of Chicago. These are
And
his
once again,
co-workers, whether he likes it or not.
I'm glad you said that because there's certain stuff you can't get away with depending on who you're talking to and where they're from. Where I'm from, professionalism is a situational thing. For me specifically, professionalism is a situational thing. I can bring up two situations at work that's happened in the past 6 months. One of them, if the dude would have took one step towards me, professionalism's out the window. I'm fucking you up. The other one, I understood my mental state when the dude got in my face, and I was able to walk away because it wouldn't have went good at all. So those are two different situations that happened there. One was with a coworker, one was with a customer. With the customer, I walked away. With the coworker, I was going to fuck you up. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I understand level of professionalism, but when you get people like me and CM Punk to a point of fed up, you know when we say if it's really about that, come see me in the locker room, come talk to me.
Yeah, but at the same time, we can't think of like Omega and the Bucks on the same level as CM Punk. CM
And
Punk, when you boil it down, is the talent. He's the champion. He is a professional wrestler.
mhm.
They may be wrestlers too, but they're also the executive vice presidents of that company that
They don't
helped launch
deserve the
that company.
president, but they don't
So
deserve
it
the
doesn't matter how
position.
much beef I have with my boss. If my boss is in the back and I like, if she's got if I say, she's got a problem with me, she can come talk to me. And she comes through my door and the first thing I do is hit her with a chair. It doesn't matter how professional I have been up to that point. I've lost the professionalism. Like, from what everyone's saying, it's kind of the general consensus of how it started is they came through the door and fists started flying. Now, I can understand he may be upset, but hey, Phil, you hopped off the bench to come back here. This is what you wanted to do. And from what I'm gathering, he's got a little bit, and not saying that you have the same, but I'm saying he's got a little bit of a prima donna attitude when it comes to walking around that locker room.
So
And you got guys who've been busting their ass while CM Punk was out playing, punch out with Mike Tyson. So
I feel like we're talking level of professionalism. As bosses, you should be walking around gossiping about your employees. If we're
Absolutely, we're
talking
not
level of
defending them.
professionalism, we have to talk mad.
You're breaking up, brother. Bam, you hear me?
I hear you.
Jay, we lost you, brother. Jay. Jay, if you can hear us, we lost you, brother. Yo, Jay. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording for now. We live.
Okay, so if I remember where I left off, I was basically saying like that at some point we got to put more blame on the executives for the backstage gossiping than we do for the employee for reacting to the backstage gossiping. Executives should be smarter than that. Executives should be in a position where they're not doing that. Like in regular jobs, your boss to get fired for telling other people about what's going on with you that shouldn't be explained, no matter if it's home life, work life. You got rolled up. Nobody should know but the bosses. So if you're an executive in a $1 billion organization, you shouldn't be talking about your employees behind the scenes to other people.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I told the vice president of my company he could eat a dick yesterday.
Yeah, that's a level of I can say if there was no conversation door open, CM Punk just swung. I'm gonna say, does that make him right? No, but product environment can come into a play here. And honestly, if it had to be that deep, if he never swung on people in WWE, and he had a lot of issues there, but he never punched anybody, he never hit anybody with a chair. It stayed cordial. All the issues he claimed he had with Ryback, he never hit him. Like that's the thing. He just was like, bro, let's figure this out. Stop. Like you're being stiff. Let's work it out. And Ryback being a dickhead about it. It
Yeah.
irritated him, but he never went that far. But
He
when you
should
talk
have.
about personal business that I've let go of that nobody should know about involving me and an old friend, and you're bringing it up, at that point you're being at a level of unprofessionalism. And for him to have to put hands on him, it's got a bigger problem. Cody dropped from his role because of these guys.
Yeah.
Cody dropped because of them. Like he dropped. So at some
I
point, I'm
think
more.
no.
So if I remember where I left off, I was basically saying like that at some point we got to put more blame on the executives for the backstage gossiping than we do for the employee for reacting to the backstage gossiping. Executives should be smarter than that. Executives should be in a position where they're not doing that. Like in regular jobs, your boss to get fired for telling other people about what's going on with you that shouldn't be explained, no matter if it's home life, work life. You got rolled up. Nobody should know but the bosses. So if you're an executive in a $1 billion organization, you shouldn't be talking about your employees behind the scenes to other people.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I told the vice president of my company he could eat a dick yesterday.
Yeah, that's a level of I can say if there was no conversation door open, CM Punk just swung. I'm gonna say, does that make him right? No, but product environment can come into a play here. And honestly, if it had to be that deep, if he never swung on people in WWE, and he had a lot of issues there, but he never punched anybody, he never hit anybody with a chair. It stayed cordial. All the issues he claimed he had with Ryback, he never hit him. Like that's the thing. He just was like, bro, let's figure this out. Stop. Like you're being stiff. Let's work it out. And Ryback being a dickhead about it. It
Yeah.
irritated him, but he never went that far. But
He
when you
should
talk
have.
about personal business that I've let go of that nobody should know about involving me and an old friend, and you're bringing it up, at that point you're being at a level of unprofessionalism. And for him to have to put hands on him, it's got a bigger problem. Cody dropped from his role because of these guys.
Yeah.
Cody dropped because of them. Like he dropped. So at some
I
point, I'm
think
more.
no. Go ahead.
I'm awkwardly more on CM Punk's side than anybody else. It's just because I understand how it is. I get it.
I would say I agree with you, and then just to add to it, I would say instead of us looking for a right or anyone trying to look for a right in it, like both parties handle that situation wrong
Yes, very
on
important.
different levels. So you can't point the blame at anyone. I mean, one of the things like I'm not too sure about AEW. Maybe it's just because they're newer. They really kind of haven't found their locker room set up yet. But like in WWE, you heard about like the horror stories of backstage heat and arguments and fights and stuff like that all the time. But there was some semblance of like order.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like you had guys that were like the Undertaker, that were locker room leaders that, if stuff was getting out of control, they helped it, squash it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Chris Jericho is trying to be that guy. Like apparently he went in there and cooled it off and calmed it down and really tried to like gain control of the situation, but still like there's too many soldiers and not enough generals over there. I'm sorry, too many generals and not enough soldiers. Everybody wants to be the locker room leader, but there's no one who's really definitive, keeping
But
order.
it's kind of like the conversation I just had. One person can't keep an eye on 50 people. You're going to slip up at some point and something's going to happen that you just can't be there for. So even as a locker room leader, that's why situations happen. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes in situations like when Enzo was on the bus just wilding out and Roman kicked him off.
Yeah,
The leader was there in the midst of it before it can go too far. But when Chris Jericho is pressing Brock Lesnar after the Randy Orton fight, thinking he just shot on him, Randy Orton, and busted him open because nobody knew what was going on but Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, and Vince McMahon. At that point, Undertaker can't be there in that very moment of Chris Jericho charging up front because maybe he's in the back dealing with Big E trying to punch Hulk Hogan in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lower layer of it, and I understand. But at the end of the day, it's like everybody had to calm down at one point. But if you're an executive of a company, you shouldn't be out there putting out the business of your employee.
I agree. Now I have a question. Do we hold Tony Khan any type of responsible?
Awkwardly, no.
I do. I hold him to a level of responsibility that, I feel like in the past, or maybe just from hearing stories about what's going on over there, he's been very passive. And this is a guy who just became the owner of a wrestling company for the first time 3 years ago. These are
Mm-hmm.
problems that I'm sure Vince McMahon has dealt with his entire life and his kids grew up with. So maybe they're more inept to fixing that situation or kind of handling that as it comes along. But I think he's just been very like passive and allowing things to happen and not really holding anybody accountable. And most recently, he held Eddie Kingston accountable. And a lot of people in the internet wrestling community are happy about that because Tony Khan has to put his foot down, or you're going to have chaos like this all the time. And that's inevitably going to implode because, I got a few people at my job who watch wrestling too. They're, most of them are AEW and WWE guys. They watch both products. All CM Punk fans, all trashing him this morning, talking about how unprofessional, this and that. You should know better. You're the world champion. You're acting like this. And then again, I had it on the devil's advocate side. Kenny Omega is a former world champion. The Bucks are one of the biggest names in tag team wrestling in the last 10 years. So yeah, everyone was a little unprofessional, but I would hold Tony Khan to a level of, responsibility.
Okay, I kind of switched based off what you said that he should have stopped that press conference before it got too far.
Yeah.
Once CM Punk started getting in his bag, he should have stopped CM Punk, said, cut the mics, turn off the cameras. We're not doing this right now.
His
We'll
face
handle
was
this
killing
behind
me
the
the entire
scenes.
time.
And what's funny is, I thought he really didn't care the whole time. Like every now and then he'd make a facial expression, but he was pretty much like, so what? That's my thought of how he was looking like was, so what? Like it's once again, it's funny that I have to say this again. Shit trickles downhill, but they're letting an employee shit on all of them at this point. Should have never got this far. Once the executive vice presidents are in the back talking shit, Tony Khan should have stepped in. So now I'm on your side now that I'm actually thinking about it. Yeah, we got to blame Tony Khan too. Once they
Yeah,
start talking shit about him, should have stepped in. Once Hangman put a promo, he should have stepped in.
Yeah, exactly. Right then and there, if
I'm
Punk had
right
a
with you.
problem with that promo, Punk should know enough. Hey, let's go address it. On the other hand, Punk comes back, cuts a promo on Hangman, knowing Hangman can't come out there. So again, he's also part of the one driving some of the drama. So, I do. But again, getting off topic, but yes, Tony Khan, as soon as that should have that should happen, should have pulled both of them aside and said, "Hey, what the fuck?" But he's just been very passive. Again, he's new at this, but still, he has nobody helping him.
It's funny because I don't feel like you went off topic. It all still streams back to Tony Khan. You could have finished that because once Hangman did it, it's an action. What is it? Every action causes an equal and opposite reaction. Once
Mm-hmm.
Hangman did it, if he would have checked Hangman and told CM Punk, "Don't worry, I'll handle this. I see what he's doing. You don't have to say a single word. I'll take care of it," and handled it, CM Punk doesn't go out there and cut the promo. Once CM Punk cut the promo, even if we want to say, okay, let that slide, once CM Punk cut the promo, he should cut them both in the office, sat down and said, hey, you two need to cut it out. This is too much. I'll suspend both of you guys if you guys can't come to resolve now. Once it's literally just a trickle of where did Tony Khan ever step in and stop this from going too far?
Yeah.
You know, it's literally exactly what he said. It's too many Indians and not enough chief, and your chief's passive. Like your chief is like that nice prison guard that lets everybody run over him right now. Like, yeah, you're supposed to be running the cell, but now you look like you're scared of the inmates, and the inmates can smell the fear. So now they're just running rampant. Like they're running rampant.
I was just waiting for my turn to speak, but you just took the words right out of my brain. That's exactly what I feel is going on right now. He's Adam Sandler in The Longest Yard before Adam Sandler got control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Vince went through this with the Click. So maybe it can just be called growing pains 5 years from now. Because the reason somebody said, do I feel like that this can destroy AEW? I said, no. They have too much talent there for these guys to ruin it. And I'd hate to be the one to say it out loud. They got too much talent better than the four guys we're talking about.
Well, that leads me right into what I was saying earlier about Dynamite. I think the way that they booked this Dynamite show should show all parties involved that company can do just fine without them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
At no point did that show feel weak or missing something. You got top guys like MJF and John Moxley cutting an amazing promo, getting you hyped up for the future, and you forget that just a few hours ago we were talking about the world champion beating the shit out of people backstage.
Now,
So,
if Moxley wins this tournament just to lose to like, I don't understand why MJF's not in the tournament. That doesn't make sense to me. So,
well, MJF has that automatic. I mean, he could choose to cash. It's like the Money in the Bank for them. He could choose to cash that chip when he wants.
I forgot he had the chip. That's right. Okay. Luckily, I watch Ups and Downs today, so I know what's going on. Shout out to Simon Miller. So I understand what's going on. But yeah, I just feel like, you have a tournament. Yeah, he can cash in that chip at any moment. And you have, why give it, like, when does this start to hurt Moxley? Is Moxley that invincible? Is he the Seth Rollins of AEW to where the losses don't hurt him? Or will eventually look at him and say, okay, Moxley, we can't take you serious because by the looks of it, your company doesn't take you serious.
I see what you mean, but I don't think he's in danger of that right now. I think Mox is, I would consider him one of their top guys, obviously, but I think he's doing just fine. I think he still looks strong. I do kind of hate that they let him lose clean to CM Punk. I think if there would have been a little bit of shenanigans, you would have saved Moxley a little bit.
Okay. AEW cops out to shenanigans too much for me to say that that's a good idea. Like, they cop out to interference way too much. I feel like they made the right decision there, and especially a good match from what I hear. And I haven't seen it, but I heard it was an amazing fucking match from top to bottom. So if you had a good match and he loses clean while still looking strong, kind of like Seth Rollins losing to Cody, he still looks strong. It didn't hurt him. It doesn't hurt him. Hell, it didn't hurt Drew McIntyre. It didn't hurt Sheamus. So if this is the situation, it's okay. But how long do we get away with that with Moxley? Because that's like they're turning Moxley into the greatest transitional champion. They give him the title just to give it to somebody else and then give them a lengthy run, barring injury.
Yeah.
How long do we accept that? How long?
I mean,
are like they're kind of doing what, like literally, they're kind of doing what WWE did with more freedom for them. Just a transitional champion with freedom now.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see Brian get it. Personally, I think he's somebody you could put that title on and he could hold it pretty high for a while. And then eventually you have MJF cash in that chip down the line. And him hinting at that story, I don't know if you guys saw the promo, but him hinting at the idea of there being a bidding war for MJF in 2024 because he has the
Mm-hmm.
world title, I love the idea of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of the awkward people that say if both of these companies are smart, Survivor Series should be them two. Like,
Yeah.
because what we want to watch Roman fight Roman and the Usos fight the Usos. I definitely don't want to see Roman
Yeah.
versus Braun. I don't want to see Roman versus Braun Breaker. Like, I don't want to see that at all. Like, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
No, like, no.
Dude, I think that storyline of MJF holding the title and doing the bidding war is the perfect amount of time away from Now to Planet and the perfect opportunity to break the forbidden door and have that, like you said, have a Survivor Series pay-per-view or have a big 4 pay-per-view with a real invasion angle or a real versus angle, you know?
Now, as a part-time AEW fan, is the chip like until he uses it, he just has it, or does he have a time limit to do it?
I don't think they were specific. Like with the Money in the Bank, you have 1 calendar year. I don't think they were specific with the AEW one. I might have missed that. But as far as I'm concerned, like the chip meant he has the Money in the Bank wherever he wants, pretty much.
Okay, because my question is, if they have another match for the chip, what he hasn't used his, so just 2 people have a chip now?
I honestly, I would hope not. Too many people out there with chips kind of devalues it. But
I mean, but at the same time, it's kind of like AEW. Too many people with chips just causes too many interferences. They like that.
what I would like to do is like see somebody with this kind of gimmick, you know, the Money in the Bank, the chip, somebody struggling to like cash it in. Like that's one story I don't think they've ever done with a.
Oh, that's Austin Theory right now.
Yeah, I would have him
Successfully.
struggling that last week going into the Money in the Bank pay per view that he cannot cash it in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't know my theory on that because I have like my mindset on this totally different. I feel like he should lose it to Seth Rollins and just win the Rumble to piss everybody off. That's just my mindset on that.
It'll definitely piss me off.
Literally
Especially
the last 3 people in the ring, if he's healthy, if both of these are healthy, should be Theory, Big E, and Cody. Have Cody come out at number 1, Theory come out at 26, 27, and have Big E come out at 30. Those last 3 people in the ring, and he eliminates both of them. You know how mad that'll make everybody, and it's beautiful.
do you understand the
Beautiful.
phone call that you're gonna get from me after that?
I mean, it's beautiful though. It's beautiful. That's what wrestling is made of. Those moments are career makers.
Fuck Austin Theory.
Because, it's going to happen eventually, but I think Roman's going to have to defend. Like, I feel like Roman's about to have to defend both titles on WrestleMania. He's going to go with the Universal title against The Rock and win, and then on day 2, he's going to lose WWE Championship to whoever wins the Rumble. And if it's Theory, I'm even happier. I'm even happier because I'm a big fan of Theory. I've always been a big fan of Theory.
I hate that he's growing on me. He's growing on me hard, bro.
Yeah.
Pause, but I've been a very like I fucked with him in NXT, and then when he got put with Seth Rollins with his Monday Night Messiah gimmick, I was really happy. Then they pulled him away, then they bought him back because I've always had that like Theory kind of got that it factor.
And don't pause me again, or I'll blow you a kiss.
I'm sorry that you just said that Theory was growing hard on you.
I mean, it is what it is. You know what I meant. Just like they knew what they were getting in when they walked in CM Punk's room, right? You know what I meant.
They didn't know what they were doing. They thought they were coming for a conversation with a man that was ready to throw hands. That's on them.
Yeah, well.
You know, with the way CM Punk said that, I would have known, me personally, the way he said that, I would have known if I open this door, if we open this door, he's ready to fight because he does not want to talk.
Well, they probably thought he was, he was being a punk. No pun
I
intended. But
mean,
at the same
I
time,
mean,
I don't want you to think that I blame him for doing what he did. Although I think he should have took the higher road. I don't blame him. You know, stand in his shoes. Maybe you're sitting in your locker room, and you got these three motherfuckers coming in your door. You're feeling, first of all, immediately you're gonna feel surrounded and like you're gonna get jumped. Your instinct of fight and flight is gonna kick in, and his instinct of fight kicked in. I get it.
oh no, no, no. There's no instinct to fight. He knew if that door opened and there was someone he didn't fuck with, he was fighting. I'm telling you that now. As a person that lived 2 hours from where he was raised and grew up around people like that, no. CM Punk knew exactly what he meant when he said it. They didn't know what he meant. They had no idea if they opened that door, CM Punk was ready to fight. They did not know that. CM Punk, I can tell by the tone of CM Punk's voice, he really meant. And if you have a problem with what I want to say, come back there and catch these hands because I will beat the shit out of you. That's exactly what he said. He just didn't say it. When he said it, I knew. I said, if somebody, I was watching it because I didn't know the fight happened when I watched it. Because somebody called me and said, did you catch that promo? And I was like, no. And they said, you need to go on YouTube because it just happened like an hour ago. And I was falling asleep. I said, fuck. And I'm sitting there watching my hands over my mouth. I'm like, ooh. I said, somebody go back there. He going to fuck somebody up. And I woke up to find out that he fucked some people up. Like, I knew by the tone of his voice when he said that there was nothing but violence on his mind at that point. I knew how he started the promo. I saw, oh, he gonna end up beating somebody's ass.
All I gotta say is, for a guy who's been knocked out on TV, on pay per view twice, I would not be going around asking people if they're straight.
I mean, but you got to realize you're talking like even in this aspect, if we were to if I myself was to get into it with a guy who just trains for boxing, he's not a professional boxer, he just trains for boxing. I'm getting my ass beat because he's trained on a level that I don't train for fighting. So it doesn't matter when professionals who've been doing this longer than you can beat your ass. When you get to people who know how to fight in a street fight aspect, you're going to beat their ass because they don't know how to properly throw a punch. They don't know how to do half the stuff you know how to do that you've trained for. So that's why, like, yeah, you can say, well, you've been knocked out twice on TV. Yeah, by professionals. No professional wrestler is going to beat his ass that doesn't train. Like, Matt Riddle might fuck him up.
Oh yeah.
Riddle might beat the dog shit out of CM Punk. Brock Lesnar will beat the dog shit out of CM Punk. Randy Orton will beat the dog shit out of CM Punk.
Let's talk about
But
somebody who's there with him, Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho, okay, Chris Jericho got hands. He's like the special case from what I heard. I heard he's got hands with no training. So he can just fucking fight. But at the same time, it's that 50-50 catch right there. You got hands, Chris Jericho, but he's trained to fight. There's a difference between the two there.
Understand, he was trained for. It's not enough time to credit CM Punk with fighting against somebody like Chris Jericho, who has. We're not going to discredit the dungeon, the Heart Dungeon. We're not going to discredit what he did with who was it, Batista.
What was he doing with Batista? Because I might not know this.
He put him in a submission backstage and made the man tap out. And this was not
But
a
once
not a work.
again, it's we're talking about people who don't train to
Didn't
fight.
he?
Like it can
Batista
happen.
is undefeated in MMA, brother.
That was after Chris Jericho choked him out, right?
I, you might be right on that one, but still,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
after. So
Didn't like
now that
Chris
he's
Jericho?
go ahead.
Didn't Chris Jericho like attempt to like get into some shit with Brock Lesnar backstage a
Yeah,
yeah,
couple of
that's
that
years
what
was
I was
that
ago?
was
talking about
defending Randy
earlier.
Orton.
The
Yeah,
SummerSlam
Yeah.
match, he was defending Brock Lesnar. He told him, but he didn't try to fight him. He told me, if you get in my face, I will bite your nose off. He literally wasn't
there
saying
ain't
I'm
no
going to
rules in
throw
the street
hands
fight,
with you.
brother.
If you get in my face, I'm going to bite your fucking nose off. But let's be real. Who the fuck wants to get in the arm's length of Brock Lesnar? Like, who wants to? And they said Brock Lesnar was laughing the whole time because he knew if you get in range of me, I'm going to break you in half.
Yeah, he'll wash him.
That's just what it is. Brock Lesnar going to break you in half if you get in range of him. Baron Corbin is going to beat your ass if you get in range of him. He's a Golden Gloves boxer. Logan Paul is going to beat your ass if you get in range with him if you're not trained to fight. These are people that you should just leave the fuck alone because a lot of trained fighters look for bullshit. They look for it just because they can. And the lawsuit could literally be that they're in a state of whatever, wherever All Out was. Say they're in a state that it is illegal for people who are trained in mixed martial arts to put hands on people. What if the legality is that alone, that CM Punk is in big trouble for hitting people in a state where mixed martial arts, your hands are required to be lethal weapons if you're a boxer, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, mixed martial arts. If you're in a form of mixed martial arts or you're a boxer, some states it's illegal for you to put hands on people.
It's
Your hands are
actually, it's
required a lethal
actually,
weapon.
it's actually. They were in Chicago. No, they were not in Chicago when this happened. My bad. Because my hands are registered. I was in the Golden Glove tournament. Bam knows
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
So you know as well
Maybe,
as anybody knows, in some states you can't punch people.
yeah. Florida's,
You know as well as I know. Like, yeah, Florida. You can't punch a person in Florida if you're not in a self defense mode.
yeah. But
That's why Connor got in so much trouble for that bar fight. His
maybe
hands are
that's why.
registered.
Maybe that's why we'll never know the absolute truth of what comes out. Maybe CM Punk did knock this kid out, but it's gonna stay a rumor because he can't get in trouble with that shit. But
Well, he did. The fight did go down in Illinois. I'm pretty sure that was like close to his hometown.
Yeah, the only place they're gonna throw an event like that big in Illinois is Chicago. They're not doing it in Springfield.
I know for a
Yeah,
fact
it took. They
it's
said it took place in Hoffman Estates, a suburb of Chicago.
Yeah,
okay.
if that's if they did all out in Chicago, yeah, CM Punk can get in big trouble for punching people up there. So it's one of those things that it's like it's a very touchy subject, and anybody who's listening to understand this is all speculation. We don't know shit. We're just assuming our asses off to get some great content right now. But I just stick to my guns. I don't blame Phil Brooks. I don't blame him. I blame people above him for not being more professional than a person who's petty as fuck. Why be petty with a petty person?
No, I agree. I think that enough people did the wrong thing that it caused a bad situation. I think everyone is a little bit justified in their actions, not fighting, but why they feel like they're right. I feel like every one of them believes that it's not just for being, petty, so to be. But I would say that, you know, enough good people did bad things to make a bad thing happen.
Yes.
Yep. I don't totally blame CM Punk, but I'm not gonna totally let him escape without having some blame because
Oh, you can give him some
there's
blame.
always.
He can take some blame, but we need to blame executive vice presidents and owners way more than him.
I agree, especially like the whole, like I said, if you put yourself in those shoes and you're sitting in your locker room, it feels like and looks like an ambush. I'm gonna get off on three people before they get off on me because they're gonna
Yep.
get off on me first. I don't have a chance. They may not have hands, but they're still athletes at the end of the day.
And
So
see, it really just, I think it comes down to like, with that whole situation too, I agree. Like, if three guys came through the door violent at me, that, I'm going to attack first before they can get me. But I think too, it depends on who you ask. Because if you ask Punk, they kicked the door in. If you ask them, the door was open. They let themselves in. I believe somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yeah, of course.
Do
You
I
got
think
his
that?
side. You got one side, you got the other side, and you got the truth.
So
now, somebody who I don't put much blame on, I forget his name, but homeboy who hit this dude with a chair,
A Steel.
Ace Steel, he was his wife was in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, no, you get no blame. You do what you got to
Yeah,
Yeah.
do.
yeah,
Well, you got to think too. He sees three professional guys who, beat each other up for a living come through the door. My wife's in there, and they got beef with my guy. Now, I'm not letting her get in the middle of that and getting hit.
nah,
So, yeah, of course, he's justified. Yeah, if I see three dudes come through the door, we're fighting now.
yeah. And again, shout out to the homie Larry. Larry had nothing to do with this. He was just doing what he got to
Yeah.
do.
Listen, this is the beginning of a long heel turn for Larry.
No, this all Larry fight. He was barking the wrong way, and it caused everybody to go crazy. This on Larry.
Shit. But yeah, so let's wrap this episode up. Um, So I guess we all kind of again we ended up with different views, and we ended up on the same page. We can all agree that yes, Punk has some blame, but ultimately it was his higher ups that fucked up. Simple as that. And they fucked around and found out. They called his bluff. We're also dealing with a more mature, more established CM Punk than who was in WWE. So maybe he wasn't confident enough in his career to where he could swing on a Ryback or swing on somebody else. Plus, back then, there was no real competition worth going to if he was to take his talents elsewhere. Now, he knows he's the draw. He knows he's King Dingaling right now. And he really has nothing big to lose. His career has been made. So he's probably like, fuck it. I don't have to hold back. I'm not going to, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm not going to fucking sit here and let somebody get one over to me. And I'm more, in my opinion, CM Punk is more valuable than the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega talent wise. Because yes, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega have done amazing things, kind of where it doesn't matter. CM Punk has been to the grandest stage. He's held the championship there. He brings prestige to the AEW title, even though this whole him shit getting injured shit is really fucking that up for me. He's the breadwinner in the situation. So I'm not gonna say I totally overturned my stand because I still put some blame on him. He should have known better, but at the same token, he doesn't have more to lose than they do. And I guess that's how he felt at the moment. I can't say differently that I would react differently because after Jay, after you put it in my perspective, I literally in my mind I sat there in CM Punk's shoes. I picture him sitting there, finished changing. Maybe he's lacing his sneakers up, and these three guys bust in my room who I got beef with.
Yeah, I'm about to throw hands.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
over with. Like he said, my fight or flight just kicked in, and I'm about to fuck somebody up. You should have just minded your business, Barfart. You should have
Yeah,
kept your ass over there. You should have stuck to wrestling. You should have shut the fuck up the first time. Like, don't come picking on someone that you know is, as he said it, a diva. You know is a prima donna. You know is going to respond exactly what you wish he didn't respond as. Nobody in that situation came for conversation.
It takes it,
Nobody.
it falls back to Vince McMahon walking into Bret Hart's locker room after the Montreal screw job. He knew he
Yep.
was gonna get punched in the
yeah,
face. So, all right, guys. So that's it for this episode. We're gonna try our hardest to pump these out weekly. So I look forward to speaking to you guys next week. To our fans
yes,
and
sir.
future fans, thank you for listening. Thank you, Bam. Thank you, Jay. You guys make this absolute amazing. I'm totally stoked to have you guys aboard, and I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't do
thank you, brother.
drugs.
What's up, Jay?
I said, don't do drugs.
Yeah, give them to me. All
Yeah,
right,
way ahead of you.
guys. Yeah, have a good night.